Alright, so let's start playing around with this Python package. Now, I'm in the Google Colab that we found in the GitHub page. I click this Open in Colab page in the Ernie GitHub. And so once you click that, you'll notice that you have this environment that you can start playing around with. And so the first thing we need to do is install Ernie onto our environment system. And you can do run anyway. But before we do that, let's go to runtime here, and we can do change runtime type. And then we can change this to GPU. Now, this gives us access to a free GPU that we can use computation on. And so it's a very cool software, as I mentioned before. So feel free to use Google Colab for any project that you want involving Python. And so now we have a free GPU, and we can start building out our NLP algorithm. So the first thing we need to do is import these two packages, and I'm just going to walk through this code. And then once we import them, we shouldn't have any errors. But in the next code block, we have this binary classification. And so this binary classification is essentially we're building a data set, and this data set is in a list, and in each element of the list, we have a tuple, and this tuple is a sentence with an associated label. Okay, and so we convert this tuple into a data frame, or this list of tuples. And then we import our model using the sentence classifier, which imports the model and downloads it. So let's run this. And so we download the model. And then after that, we load the data set into a format that the model can understand. And it's a very cool line of code because it does it all for you. And normally it's a very tedious process. Now, after that, we will fine-tune our classifier on the data frame that we pass in. Now, you'll notice that there's only 2 rows of data in here, so we're not going to have the results that we expect, but it's essentially showing you that you can take in any data frame, load it, and fine-tune it. And so that's very cool. Now, it is worth mentioning that, let me go back to Ernie GitHub, and the third one here. It is worth mentioning that feel free to look through all this. You can save your model, load your model, very cool. That there's all these models that you can use, okay? Now, there's this website here called huggingface.co, which is the leading platform for natural language processing algorithms. And if you go here, you'll notice that there's a bunch, and when I say a bunch, there's a lot of state-of-the-art natural language processing algorithms. So you can use the majority of these, and you'll notice there's GPT-2, which is a very famous text generation algorithm. But you'll notice that there's a bunch of these algorithms that we can use, and it's just a matter of going here, copying the path here, and then pasting it here. I'll show you in a following example. But now that this is done training, we downloaded the data set, we got these warnings, which are completely fine, and you don't need to worry about that. And then we start training our model, and you can see that we have 4 epochs, which is this parameter here. And the learning rate is just how fast our model is learning. Now, yeah, so you can see we have a 100% accuracy, but this is a model with very limited amounts of data, so we're not going to get the results we want. So, yeah, and then we predict our sentence, and we have our probabilities, and then our probabilities is this is negative, and this is positive. And so we take the max, and so it's predicting that this is negative, which is wrong, but with more data, the model will have more data to learn from, and so it's going to create a generalized understanding of what it's supposed to learn. So that's very cool. And then we can do multi-class classification, and this one uses the XLM Roberta base. And then we can pass in our data frame, and it's just the same process. And the only thing you need to change is the label's number. You can import your model here, and this model here can be any model here, but you do need to make sure some models don't work with Ernie. The only types of models that work is BERT, Robert, XLNet, Distilbert, and Albert. So they must have that base. But yeah, we can really just, let's say we want this one. Let me look for something else actually. Let's say we want this one. What we need to do is copy everything after huggingface.co. We can copy that, paste it here. And what should happen is, oh, Bart. Okay, maybe it doesn't work with Bart. It works with Bert. Sorry, I thought that was Bert. Let's go with Roberta base. So we copy this, and then we remove this, paste it there, and we should download the dataset, the model. Okay, that's good. And the next step is to separate this into different blocks so that we don't have to run all these code blocks every single time, like download this model. But I'll show you that in the next video. I'm just going over the package. So we downloaded the model, and we trained the model, and then we have our predictions here. Now that's very cool. And then you can go through these other lines of code where they dump the model through epochs and just all this sort of stuff. So it's a very cool package, and it really allows you to use a lot of state-of-the-art algorithms for any data set that you have, and it's just a very nice package, and I highly recommend it for these tasks. And let's say we want, there's German, so if you want a different language model, you feel free to find one. And there's a search here, so you can search like Twitter. Now, some of these don't work, but what I would do here is copy everything after Hugging Face, including the name. And then we can go here, paste it here. And then, as you can see, we download the data set. And so that's very cool. And so now we're downloading a Twitter sentiment BERT model. And so, yeah. So in the next video, so we got an error. And it's telling us, we have a shape of 2, so we do need to change this. Now, it is worth mentioning that some models only work with limited output size or a certain output size. So you do need to make sure for that, and you do need to read the documentation. So, so I guess, let's try this. Okay, yeah, so I don't know what's going on here, actually. Let's try restarting the kernel. Okay, restart runtime. Just want to make sure this works. But you get the idea. You can really get any model, not any model, you can get the most models, most state-of-the-art models, especially for the tasks that are similar to this one. Okay, so it seems like this one doesn't work, but the ones that I found work is normally the fill mask ones and the ones here. So these ones all work. I was just trying one that was created by a user, but if you did this, boom, works, no problem. I'll go back to it, but we can try all of these. Now the large and the small mean that this one has a large amount of weights or a large amount of parameters, and the small have a small amount of parameters. Now, the small ones are lightweight, so they can run faster in your trading algorithms, whereas the large ones are a lot slower. Not a lot slower, but they do take more time to compute their output. But, yep. So here we download the model, and then we can load the data set, and we can do that with the majority of these. We can do this one. I think this is French. So this one detects sentiment in French. Okay, but yeah, so you can see that not all of these work, but any of these ones work, and the ones in the Google Colab work. So it is a nice package. It doesn't work with everything, but it does work for what it's supposed to do, and the one that we're going to use. So very nice. And so in the next video, we are going to start implementing this package in our own data frame, and so I'll see you there.